Oh, here we go.
Tits.
Oh, hi everyone. Oh God, I'm already laughing. You know, it never ceases to amaze me at just how much content you can get out of whining, complaining feminists. And you know why that is. It's because everything is problematic. They find problems in absolutely everything. Even when there's cold, hard facts, just slapping them right across the face. They don't want to acknowledge it because they believe that women are living in a system that is rigged, that is controlled by men. So naturally, any facts are biased. These facts are set up in a society that's controlled by men who are just trying to keep women down. So they can't be trusted, can they?
At its core, patriarchy is the problem today in the United States. Patriarchy is a system that insists that males are superior to everything deemed weak, especially females, and endowed with the right to rule over them through various forms of psychological terrorism. That feels very real today. If you are subscribing to the patriarchy in any ways that you are aware of, now is the time to fight it. You can do this. It isn't that hard.
Anyway, so today we're going to be looking at Formula One. Now, you know feminists have been trying to get their harpy claws into Formula One for a long time now. Remember that thing with the grid girls? They sunk their claws deep into Formula One and they got rid of the grid girls. We can't have beautiful models in cute little racer girl outfits, waving their little flags and smiling and making everyone happy on the grid anymore. We can't do that because some, how shall I put this, not so attractive feminist type women out there looked at those beautiful women and thought, I can never attain that standard of perfection. That annoys me. And you know why it annoys me? Because we're living in a society where men set beauty standards, not women. And it's too unattainable. I'll never be that good looking. That's the real reason they're pissed off. But they masked it by calling it problematic. You know, that we were sexualizing women and exploiting them for their looks to sell a product. Like we've never done that with men, ever. Like these are the same women who went to see Magic Mike when it was out in the cinemas. Or enjoy a scantily clad, six-pack toting, ripped as male model wearing a pair of Calvin Kleins with a prominent bulge that they stared just a little too long at when they were flipping through the ads of their Vogue magazine and flicking their dusty old feminist beans to. Then enjoy the article on the very next page about the problem of rampant sexism in the female modeling industry and how we over-sexualize women. And then they cozy up in bed at night with their huge stack of romance novels because fantasy is as close as they'll ever get to romance because they're such intolerable, ball-crushing biatches. And every single one of these romance books talks about the woman being a helpless little victim who gets dominated by a strong, husky male and slapped around a little bit. No, just kidding. I don't know, maybe they do, but they enjoy it. They get off on it. They get their rocks off to it. They secretly love it. So yeah, the Formula One. This has popped up again in the sexism debate. And this time we're looking at fellow Aussie Formula One driver Daniel Ricciardo, who seems to have got himself into a bit of trouble over in the US while they host the Formula One. So apparently Ricciardo did an interview where he was asked the question, what do you think of female drivers? Do females make good Formula One drivers? And he's got in trouble, not for even saying, yes, female Formula One drivers are shit, that's why there aren't any. Duh. No, he's just got in trouble for laughing in response to being asked that question. Daniel Ricciardo's storm erupts over offensive comment. Oh, God. How do these women even find this stuff to get outraged over? Do they have a feminist outrage call center or something where these women are all piled up in a building, searching the internet, searching far and wide, casting their feminist nets out into the online world to try and find something, anything that they can call sexist? And then they ring up all the prominent feminists on their call list and inform them of it. Australian Formula One driver Daniel Ricciardo has sparked anger over a controversial act during an interview in America. Daniel Ricciardo has triggered a storm over an offensive comment made during an interview in America. The Aussie was the star guest on the latest episode of the famously wild Sunday Conversation with Caleb Presley web series, where he was asked a series of controversial questions. The Barstool Sport comedy series is famous for asking prickly questions to guests, and Ricciardo appeared to do his best to sidestep some of the loaded questions, which you'll see in a moment when I play the clip. He doesn't even answer the question. He just laughs in response to it. But we all know what he's thinking. And that's what makes it so funny. However, the 34-year-old has come under fire on social media for failing to call out some of the light-hearted comments. Oh, he didn't call out the sexist comment. He didn't tell the hosts of the show to go themselves, that they were being problematic. He didn't call them out, mate. That's where we're at, aren't we? You can't even laugh in response to a question like that. You can't even laugh at a joke unless you put your foot down, proclaim yourself to be a feminist, virtue-signaling warrior.
Patriarchy is the problem. Fight it. You can do this.
And shut those people down, rudely telling them that they're problematic and that they're sexist and misogynistic, then that's not good enough. You in turn are problematic, misogynistic and sexist. All he did was laugh. My God. All right, let's take a look at this interview because it's fucking hilarious.
Do you think women are good drivers?
Good is subjective, but yes.
Yes, you do.
He knows what he wants to say, but he's just keeping it totally PR friendly. He's not going to say women are shit drivers. And I'm not saying collectively all women are shit drivers. I think statistically women are supposed to be safer drivers. But let's be real, it's because women are more reserved, they're more intimidated, they're more careful when it comes to driving. And being reserved, intimidated, and careful kind of doesn't translate to being a professional Formula One driver, now does it? It's like, yes, we have too many men in this sport. Clearly this is problematic. We need to get more women in to close the gender gap. I see here in your credentials it says that you are a careful, intimidated, and reserved driver. Excellent. Hired. Now here, you can drive the pink one. Although I think they have pink ones already that are really fast. I'm making jokes. But it's this age-old argument again, isn't it? Why aren't more women in this field? Why aren't they doing that? It's because they're being discouraged by society to do that. There's no self-ownership there. They can't and don't want to acknowledge personal choice and that women are more attracted to doing certain things than what men are attracted to doing. That quite possibly young boys are more interested in cars and go-karting when they're around about the age of 10. And that the vast majority of girls have different interests like Barbies and whatever the other girly shit little girls do. And then that translates into a future career. I can only imagine that the percentage of men even who want to try and pursue a long-term professional career in driving, professional driving is small at best, even amongst men. That's a really hard industry to get into. You've got to really have a lot of drive and ambition and confidence in your skill to try and take on that as a career, to try and make money off that as a career. I just don't think a very big percentage of girls would even be looking into that field to try and make a career out of professionally. The odds are stacked up against women in this. I'm sorry. As we'll hear later on, there's only 20 people in the world who can become professional Formula One drivers at a time, and obviously that's not including reserves. And when you take all these factors into account, that the vast majority of young girls aren't very interested in driving when they're growing up, and that also biologically women aren't built as well as men when it comes to things like hand-eye coordination, physical strength, endurance, balls of steel which you need to drive a car that fucking fast around a track for a few hours, risking your life. I mean, that's a dangerous fucking sport. A lot of women don't want to get into sports to begin with, let alone something that can fucking kill them. When you look at all these factors, it just limits the pool significantly of how many good female drivers there are that could potentially compete to be good enough to be one of the top 20 drivers in the world who can drive a Formula One car professionally. That's why there's a gap. That's why you don't see female Formula One drivers. It's because there's such a small percentage of people who can do it. There are more boys, more men who want to do it. And in a lot of ways, they're just built better to do it. Sorry to say. That's just the truth. But I interrupted. Let's get back to this podcast show.
Do you think women are good drivers?
Good is subjective, but yes.
Yes, you do.
Good is subjective. We know what he wants to say, but he's being so careful about it. Good is subjective. That's not sexist. That's a nice thing to say. Good is subjective can mean that if you consider being a safer driver a good thing, then yes, women are better at it. Although some would argue that being timid doesn't actually make you a safer driver. It can actually make you a worse driver because you're so fucking nervous all the time. You're more likely to get into an accident.
It's offensive, isn't it? The stereotype that women are not good drivers, It's hurtful.
It's not offensive, it's not hurtful, this is just a stereotype based on reality. God, why are stereotypes so offensive? I love stereotypes because they're meant to be funny. They're based on reality with a funny spin on it. We're meant to laugh at stereotypes. When did stereotypes become so fucking offensive? He's trying so hard not to laugh.
Yeah.
Because you look at the stats. If you look at the facts. Please.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I'll take a chip. I need something to distract me from saying the wrong thing here.
In the history of Formula One, tell me the number of accidents on the racetrack that have been caused by female drivers.
Probably none.
Probably none. Has there ever even been a Formula One female race car driver? I can't think of one, honestly. Please tell me in the comments.
Why is that?
There has been little to no female F1 drivers.
Why is that?
Because there's 20 of us in the world.
We were going to surprise you today with a female driver.
Oh, really?
She had an accident. She's okay though, she's fine. But she just couldn't make it. What?
That was really good.
See, it's a joke. It's a joke. Stop getting your feminist panties in a twist over this joke. And stop calling him problematic because he's laughing at the joke and not calling out the joke as misogynistic. That was really funny. So as you saw then, he very briefly mentioned there's only 20 drivers who can do this professionally in the world. I'm just going to play you a quick clip where he explains this a little bit better. Probably better than I did.
Simply putting it, there's 20 drivers on the grid. So it's such a small number. And if a large percentage of that number kind of funneling in is males, then obviously it's just a percentage game. It's really starting at like the grassroots, whether it's go-karting. It's really trying to encourage women to get into it from an early age so that therefore there is obviously larger volumes and more opportunity for them to then keep moving their way up the top and obviously do it successfully.
Very well explained. Excellent points. And I'd like to point out the fact that he said they do try and encourage more women into the sport. It's not like they're shutting them out, like closing the doors in their faces when they rock up to try and have a go. In fact, no sports ever do that anymore. That doesn't exist. That's not a thing. All male-dominated fields are very inclusive. They want more women to have a go and to have a try, mainly so they can get them to shut the fuck up and stop complaining or running their sport or industry through the mud, calling them sexist and problematic and causing a great big fucking PR headache for them. Women are allowed to try these things. They're welcome to try these things, and women still choose, for the most part, not to partake in these things. And it never ceases to amaze me how feminists can't acknowledge this. They can't acknowledge that it's just women's choice. It's their own personal choice that they don't want to do it. Because it goes further than that, doesn't it? It goes into a deeper level into their minds that we live in a patriarchal society. Girls are groomed at a young age to adhere to these traditional gender norms. So the game's rigged from the start. It's just set against them, and that's the problem. They always find a way to bring it back to men being the problem. And that's what pisses me off the most about feminism. It really pisses me off. And it's actually so sexist towards women to believe that they don't have their own free will and agency to make up their mind about things that they want to do or do not want to do. So yeah, we saw that interview, and that one wasn't even that bad. He just laughed in response to what could be perceived as a sexist joke, and he's copying shit for that one. Here's another interview I found posted on the thread of the tweet of this what looks like a female driver, the one who complained about it in the first place, who tweeted that it was misogynistic and that this article is in response to, I think. She also posted this interview with the caption, "Seriously, when will the sexist comments and jokes stop? Ugh, when will the feminist whining and bitching stop? Seriously."
Let's talk about that F1 puss, man. It's gotta be incredible. Top-notch shit.
Okay, so what's sexist again here? He's just laughing in response to this guy asking about the quality of the Formula One puss, the Formula One poon.
Oh my god, it's like Euro puss.
It's so
too.
elite too. It's like rich pussy. It's not like that bogan pussy from back home. It's like that top tier stuff.
Yeah.
Elite rich pussy. It's so true, though. It's such an expensive sport. Everything about that sport just screams rich as fuck and elitism. All the corporate boxes, all the cash they sink into the cars, how much money it costs to even set up the races to begin with, to fly those cars around the world, the teams involved, the staff, how many people are on the staff. There is so much money just surrounding Formula One. You've got to admit, there's probably going to be some quality, elite, rich as fuck pussy surrounding that. It's like a trail of gold digger pussy that just smells the money. It follows the Formula One circuit around the world.
What's the best? Russian hose?
Eastern European, obvi.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Budapest.
Yeah,
That's,
I love Daniel Ricciardo. He's like, how am I supposed to respond to this other than laughing my ass off? It's such a funny, odd question to be asked as a professional Formula One driver. Seriously, what do you want him to do? You want him to just sit there steely-eyed and all serious and frowning at them for even asking the question? And how dare you ask the question? How dare you be misogynistic to women? I am not answering this question. I am above this question. He is responding absolutely perfectly normal.
Were you born there? I'm deflecting here.
My parents. But so when but where do the chicks go craziest?
Once again, all he does is laugh and try and deflect and laugh. How is he sexist?
When you're not married, you can talk about
Wait,
this.
I think my phone's ringing. I'm just gonna take this call.
He's got sponsors. Yeah.
Okay, so there you have it, everyone. A classic example of how a very natural response to being asked these funny-ass questions is labeled sexist and problematic because you're not calling out the behavior. You can't fucking win, can you? All right, thanks for watching. Remember to check me out on Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, and Twitter X, and I'll catch you in the next one. Tits out, everyone. Tits.